Being sick really is one of those times where you feel the singleness because, yeah, you don't have anyone to go pick up anything for you. I tend to use Instacart. I don't get sick very often. Luckily, I really prioritize my health. But still, when those moments do come, or like you have a doctor's appointment, things like that procedure or something, it sucks not to have a person there. Again, you have friends that can do those things for you, but like it means more. It's nicer to have like a romantic partner that is willing to do those things and can even just like be there through the night or whatever, even if you're not that sick. Or I think sometimes I feel anxiety. Like I had really, really bad food poisoning, and that's kind of scary. And like thinking like, what if I needed to go to the hospital or something, or like a really intense situation and I don't have anyone there? Obviously, again, there's people I could call, but like having that peace of mind, this does make a difference. And this is something where I miss it.
Irony of being single and being like sad because I don't want to sleep alone again tonight, but then also I'm like, ew, I don't want a man in my bed. They lie, and they have this like, they shed those little hairs everywhere.
Women as a whole are starting to realize we're better off single. You cannot diss us by telling us we're going to be single forever, because we're at a point where between ourselves and our female friends, our strong support systems, we have everything we need. We have our emotional support. We have our financial support. We have our cheerleaders. It is causing us more stress to have a man in our life than it is to not. Without them in our lives, we don't have to worry, is a man cheating on us? Does he think I'm pretty today? We don't have to get a man to understand our emotions and what we're going through, because we have other women in our life that understand our hormones and understand what we're going through. And we don't have to beg for the basics to be seen, heard, and empathized with by somebody who is not even trying to do those things for us. We have gotten to the point where we're like, how are men making our lives better for us to even want them in our lives?
Hearing a woman say she's better off single sounds more like consolation than freedom. They talk about support systems, but those systems fall apart the moment someone in the group gets into a relationship. Many of them rely on friends who, once they get married, push them aside, because no woman wants a single friend hanging around her home. They know that a woman's worst enemy is often another woman. The reality is that many of them go around repeating the talking points of other frustrated women, without even having a recent relationship to back up what they say. And while they keep chanting feminist mantras to convince themselves they don't need anyone, the clock keeps ticking and the wall keeps getting closer. Stop living through other people's bad experiences and start looking for an average man, because time is running out. TikTok.
I am so sick of making dinner. I'm sick of it. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm sick of all of it. I don't want to do it. Anyone else? Anyone could make me dinner? I'm hungry. Is this even good? I don't even know how long salmon is supposed to cook. Where's my phone? I'm sick of cleaning up. There's so much to freaking... I don't even have garbage bags. Goodbye. No. How does it cook? Like, really? That? It's like super boring, but I'm gonna be more excited.
So, as a woman in her early 30s with no kids on Mother's Day, I can tell you that I feel weird. I feel sad. I feel lonely. I feel left out. I feel behind, I guess. Feel not good. However, I know that I'm waiting for the right person. I know that my career is taking off. I know that I'm independent. I know that I don't sleep with the wrong men. I know that I'm not going to have a baby with the wrong man. I know all of these things. I also know that I've raised 3 dogs and 2 turtles, and they were all great. They're still great. And yeah, but I feel sad. And I could probably cry if I talk about it for one more second. So happy Mother's Day to everyone that's a mother.
The first woman complains about cooking and cleaning like it's some kind of torture. But that's a reflection of what a lot of women think today. They see being a wife or taking care of a home as something degrading. And yet, Those are the same women who later want to get married. I wonder how she plans to feed her man. Women used to be taught how to be wives. Now they're taught how to be corporate. The woman who feels lonely is actually feeling the natural order of things. I've always said, family gives life meaning. You can convince yourself you don't want it, but reality hits hard. No career, no accomplishment, no I know my worth will ever fill the void left by the motherhood that never came. And let me be clear, I'm not saying this to mock anyone. Because what really hurts isn't being alone. It's realizing it was the wrong choice. That you wasted the best years of your life when you could have been building a family. Brothers, the wall doesn't forgive.
Women.
One of the worst things about being single right now at 30 years old is the fact that I feel like I am grieving and feeling so upset over the fact that I missed out on love and a long-term relationship in my 20s. Mind you, I have never been in a long-term relationship. Like, I've had lots of short-term flings and things that I had really wanted to turn into something more, but ultimately they never did. And this is very devastating as someone who is now in her 30s, because I feel like I missed out on this entire chapter of my life that most people got to experience. Like, I will never get to experience young love. And I'm not saying 30 is old at all. That is not what I'm saying. However, I do think that obviously, like, the older you get, the different you act than you would have in your 20s or younger. Like, I really genuinely feel like I missed out on that first love that everyone has when they're in their late teens or 20s. And it sucks because it's like, okay, well, hopefully I'll go through my 30s getting into a long-term relationship at some point. But that's just not the same as like being in high school and having your first boyfriend, or even in college or something like that. Like, my first relationship long term is going to be well into my adulthood. And what makes this whole thing even worse is that I genuinely believed, like, I could have like bet on my life that I would have had a relationship in my 20s. Like, there was actually no doubt in my mind. Like, even though I didn't have anything long term in high school or college, I was like, I'll definitely meet someone and probably get married before I'm 30. Never did I imagine being 30 years old and being able to sit here and say, yeah, you know, I've never been in anything long term. And it just really breaks my heart. Like, it makes me so sad for the younger version of me that like wanted this and really thought it was going to happen, because I feel like I let her down. And this is now a time of my life that I'm never going to be able to get back and experience. And at this point, I'm like, okay, if I'm lucky, hopefully I'll meet someone that I'll want to get into a long-term relationship, and vice versa. But yeah, like, I don't even have an issue with being single. I really don't. I know it might seem like it. What I have an issue with is grieving something that I was positive was going to happen, and now looking back and realizing I got nowhere near it.
What really hurts is realizing you hit the wall. Let me tell you, she said something key here. Because while you were saying you wanted love, you spent your youth on situationships and fleeting emotions. And now, like many others, you're realizing, too late, that love isn't a guaranteed stage in life. It's something you plant. And you planted freedom, pleasure, external validation, but not love. And that comes with a price. It's with a high body count that she starts to reflect. When her pool of candidates is empty, when she feels like she's out of options, she starts to wish she had used her best years to find a partner. The problem is, you figured it out when the pool was already dry. And the hardest part? The men who actually wanted what you dreamed of, they're already gone. The wall doesn't forgive.
Have you noticed how being single is now a woman's happy place? For so many women now, being single is where they find the most peace. Why is that, you ask? Well, let me tell you. There have been multiple scientific studies that prove that when women get into a relationship or marry within a straight relationship with a man, she actually works more, she gets paid less, she's less happy, and her health gets even worse. So not only is it super disruptive to a woman's life to be married to a man, but actually a lot of women are coming out with a loss. It costs them their financial gain, it costs them their health, it costs them their happiness. So truly, ladies, like, unless you're going to be with a wonderful partner, and you are a wonderful partner and you show up together in that partnership equally, and that man is adding to your life, why would you want to be in a relationship? And this is according to multiple studies, and they are showing that marriage with a man in a straight relationship is actually shortening your life and making you miserable. So be very careful who you choose to be your partner.
She's probably one of those who read that article claiming single women are the happiest in the world. Then you see her alone, juggling bills, because she doesn't get that loneliness doesn't bring happiness. These are the women who pour all their time into their group of friends, only to be left behind when those friends find a man. They're the ones who don't realize their best years are slipping away, and they're blind to the bigger picture. Men are starting to realize they can live just fine without them. Their money goes further. They live healthier lives. They stay more active. It's no coincidence that so many women in this country live below the poverty line. But sure, they're happy, with no structure and no family, right? Go ahead, keep buying into the feminist narrative.
Okay, so I think 2025 is going to be the year of the great divide, as in relationships between men and women specifically, because based off of my observations through social media and just friends in general, everyone's breaking up. And this, I think, is a good thing for women. And I think women are truly finally starting to realize and wake up that men pretty much aren't shit and they don't bring anything to the table. And we've been fed this lie of like romance and shit in order for them to get access to us. And we're like, actually, no, that's not enough. So for women moving forward, if you are dating in 2025, why? Because as far as I'm aware, in this society, men have not evolved, and it shows.
Fuck up, you crazy bitch whore!
And yes, you really did evolve into a spinster. I can't help but laugh at how one-dimensional some of these women think. Sure, couples have their differences, but it's usually women who end up regretting leaving a good man. And look at how misery loves company. She's happy because what she sees on social media and among her friends is that more and more women are leaving their partners to be alone and miserable. Just imagine being in that state, hoping others are going through the same thing, obsessed with other people's relationships because you don't have one of your own. Honestly, I think about how damaging feminism has been, how a whole ideology is causing this much harm. By 2030, 50% of women will be single. That number keeps rising. The epidemic of female loneliness is here to stay.
He was such a gentleman. He paid for my bill, he opened the door, and he even got me a ride back home. That's bare minimum. But he bought me flowers. That's bare minimum. He even bought me a present. That's bare minimum. He said he will marry me. That's bare minimum.
Here's a little bit of college dating advice. I call this Margot Robbie theory. It's kind of inspired by some of Tinks's theories. So here we go. A lot of guys' celebrity crush is like Margot Robbie or someone like that. And I bet if she were to come into their town and they were to ask her out on a date, they'd treat her a certain way. They'd treat her amazingly, like they'd pay for her dinner, they would give her the utmost respect, they'd probably respond to her texts within a timely manner. So my point of the theory is, you shouldn't accept anything less than that from a guy. If you like a guy and you want him to be your boyfriend, you would want him to treat you like you would treat his celebrity crush. So you should not accept anything less than that. If you know they're capable of treating some girl better, whether it be their celebrity crush or the girl next door better than you, they're not the guy.
Oh, hell no!
This video shows just how twisted the idea of the bare minimum has become. To them, the bare minimum is a man paying, treating them like a queen, showering them with gifts and compliments. But if you flip the question, what's the bare minimum a man can expect from a woman? Suddenly, they go silent. Because it's not about flowers or gifts. It's about reciprocity. A man puts in effort, time, money, attention, and many times, he doesn't even get respect or a sincere gesture in return. The problem is, they were taught that demanding is empowerment, but offering something of value is lowering themselves. And that mindset is exactly what's leaving them alone. Thinking their worth lies in the price they set, not in the loyalty they give.
I heard a creator say this and I don't remember who it was. But she said the reason why you don't get princess treatment or you don't get treated the way that you want to get treated is because you're not his dream girl. And boy, that shit sat with me.
He bought me flowers for my birthday yesterday.
Bare minimum.
Oh my god, he opened the door for me today.
Bare minimum.
He gave me his jacket yesterday because I was freezing.
Bare minimum. Bare minimum.
Now, I'm going to give you a test to see if you actually idolize the bare minimum. And the signs are if you romanticize or get overly happy at any of the following things. Let's go. When he opens doors for you, when he's polite to service staff, when he has basic communication skills like listening to you, responding to what you said, asking how your day was, when he responds to a text and doesn't take too long to respond back, when he wants to spend time with you and actually initiates plans to hang out, when they have manners, when they're a kind, genuine person, when they text you good morning, when they use the sidewalk rule, and lastly, when they're there for you, they're patient with you, they don't overreact, they don't shout, they don't let you go to bed upset. Everything I just said is literally the bare minimum. But my rule is that the bare minimum is whatever you want it to be, and the higher bare minimum standard you set, the more high quality dating experiences you are going to have as a result.
In short, if you're a decent guy, you're just doing the bare minimum. I miss the days when men and women genuinely fell in love with the person, when a woman looked for a man with values, and a man cared about a woman's purity and upbringing. Nowadays, there are all these ridiculous rules they call standards, which are really just demands women try to impose on men. And the worst part is, they don't even hold these so-called standards for the guy they actually want, only for the one they don't. Because when it's the guy they do like, they make it real easy for him. Brother, if a woman is asking for the moon on the first date, demanding gifts or an investment you wouldn't even make for yourself, understand this. She's not interested in you. She's interested in what she can get. Don't get it twisted. A man who respects himself doesn't pay for attention, and definitely not for love.
Women.
Stop giving women the princess treatment. The whole reason that princess treatment existed was because women needed it. The feminist movement took a hold of that. They took advantage of men that were really having a hard time post Second World War, and they'd had a lot of PTSD, and then they were asked to just basically start being perfect husbands in the idealistic American dream, mowing the lawn. Meanwhile, 5 years earlier, they'd seen their friends unalive on the battlefield. Here we are in 2025, and what women have done is they've said, right, well, we want our own freedom, we want our own money, we want to do what we want, and we've gone, all right, so now we're here. But the issue we have right now with dating is that women still want those traditional treatments towards them from the men, and they say, we don't need no man, we want a man. But if you as a man say, well, I'm going to pay 50-50 on a first date, these women are rejecting that on the principle of that's not masculine. They're looking for leadership. Men, be careful. They're not looking for masculinity. What they're looking for is cosplay masculinity. They're looking for masculinity through the lens of femininity. And they are imposing what they fantasize as masculinity on the men. And you guys out there, a lot of you are getting your head around this and are starting to shift your position. But there's still a lot of men that are conforming to this idea. But as we're seeing, women are complaining now that men are not going along with that. And then they'll start shaming the men, saying they're not masculine. But it's they're not masculine through their eyes. And what women have to understand is that masculinity does not conform to femininity. It actually dominates it. And when true masculinity is in place, it doesn't move. It is very clear. It says, these are the rules. This is the frame. You either enter into it or you don't. But if you don't want to enter into it, we are not conforming to you. And what women want is for you to become their Prince Charming, their caricature of what they want masculinity is, which essentially means we will follow you. We want you to be the leader as long as we agree with where you're going. Now, obviously, leaders have to inspire their followers to follow them. But the paradox here is that the impetus is reversed, meaning the women are dictating the path, and then they want the man to conform to the path so that they can follow those men. And that is not leadership. That is cuckolding men. And we've been doing it for far too long. So, men, it is time to derive and stand in your ground, hold the line, know your standards, know your worth, become a man worth following, as I'm keeping saying right now. And women are going to have to understand that at some point they're either going to have to acquiesce to the equality that they asked for, or they're going to have to submit and surrender and understand that it's not just about paying bills or paying money equally. It's actually about surrendering career-driven obsession and their competitive nature and the masculinity that they've adopted to be successful in that world. They have to submit and surrender that. Whether they do it or not is up to them. But men, at some point, will have had enough. And right now, it's looking like that's going to be the way it is.
I think he's partly right. Masculinity is something each man interprets through his own perspective. That said, I don't agree with the idea of splitting the bill 50-50 on a first date. I've always said the first date should be something simple, a coffee, a place where you can actually talk and get to know the woman. That's why I pay on the first date, because out of 10 women you suggest splitting the check with, 9 of those dates will go nowhere. You don't invite a woman out unless you're genuinely interested in her. The guy makes a valid point. These days, a lot of women don't really want a man. They want their fantasy version of what a man should be. A woman should step into your frame, your life purpose. If she doesn't share your values, doesn't have family goals, or doesn't believe in your leadership, especially when it comes to finances, then she's not the right one for you. It's true that many women with masculine energy and strong personalities will try to dictate the direction of the relationship. That's why you've got to stay solid in your purpose. That doesn't make you a tyrant. It makes you a man who knows how to lead, communicate, and set a vision. That's how I see it. My advice is always meant to help you grow and stay in control of your life.
I keep seeing girls online talking about how they are higher value than a coffee date. And I think that that's kind of crazy, because if you value your time, if you're dating online, you would not put yourself in the situation where you're spending 3 hours with a complete stranger that you don't even know if you're attracted to yet. Yeah, I think people's egos are getting to them way too much, and people are listening too much to what people online are saying, and you are literally disrespecting your own time by going and accompanying a man for dinner for 2 to 3 hours. Again, if you don't even know what he's like, and if he is going and buying you an expensive dinner and he doesn't even know what you're like, that shows his worth is very low, because you could just be a catfish. And I don't mean a complete catfish, but I mean, you might not be representative of what your profile pictures look like. And you probably have more to offer than that. And so if a guy is just willing to treat you to dinner because of what you look like online, that shows a lot about his character too. So not only those two things, but in addition to that, it's if you just want a nice dinner, you should be on Seeking Arrangements and not on regular dating apps, because you can get paid $800 to go out to dinner and accompany a guy. That's how much your value is actually worth. And then on top of that, you'll get whatever $200 worth of food. So if you really just care about money, then you should be on a different platform. And if you respect your time and you're actually trying to find somebody, then the first date should be low pressure. It shouldn't involve alcohol, and it shouldn't be a marathon date. Yeah, that's all I gotta say.
Applause for this woman. She's got her feet on the ground. The first date is about getting to know each other. You go in with the intention to talk, see if there's chemistry, and confirm whether the person matches who they claim to be on their profile. If you're not into it, you simply walk away. No pressure. And honestly, this setup benefits women the most. In a simple date, they can see if the guy is right for them, if he makes them feel comfortable, or if he's someone they don't want to see again. On top of that, a lot of women asking for fancy dinners only want the setting for Instagram photos, where everything shows up except you. That's why I always say, the first date should be coffee. It's quick, practical, and comfortable for both sides. If it goes well, the second date will be even better, and that's when a man can step things up because now he knows he genuinely likes that woman.
I swear, if I have to hear another video explaining why men should pay on the first date, I'm going to scream. Welcome to my bathroom. Today, let's talk about first date rules. There are a few rules that we believe men should do on the first date, but no rule has been so over-explained on the internet as men paying for the first date. I don't know why, as women, we feel the need to constantly over-explain and justify why men should do completely normal behaviors, if not the absolute bare minimum. Because a man paying on the first date is truly the absolute bare minimum. If you ever need to explain to a man why he should be paying on the first date, he's not your man. You do not need to justify why, you don't have to justify how. You just need to kick him to the curb, end of story. I'm really getting sick and tired of the content online explaining to women why men should pay on the first date. It almost feels like the internet is saying like, oh, women, like you ask for so much all the time, but in this case, you're not asking for too much. You know that there are some men that have a fear that they might offend the woman by assuming they would pay on the first date and that the woman can't pay on the first date. But you never offend a woman by being a gentleman. You offend her when your tiny little ego can't get over the fact that she actually makes enough money to support herself, and therefore you expect her to go splitsies on the first date instead. I also think that this narrative of men paying on the first date can be really dangerous to women when it comes to dating. I think some women cling on to this rule as a way to give the guy a green light. I see a lot of women accept lackluster behavior from men just because they paid on the first date. Like, sure, the guy didn't ask a single question and talked about himself the whole time, but he did pay, so we're going on a second date. No, don't condone that behavior. Or sure, he didn't text me back for a week, but he paid on the first date, so I'll go on a second. Again, no, do not accept that behavior. Paying on the first date is simply the bare minimum, and it shouldn't be the end-all be-all for if you should continue seeing someone or not. It's just one piece of the puzzle to assessing whether or not you're compatible with somebody. If you want them to pay on the first date and they don't, you don't have to go out with them again. Or if they do pay on the first date, but they treat you like shit in the process, you shouldn't have to go out with them again either. When you're out there on your dates, you are collecting data points, asking yourself, how does this guy make me feel? And do I even like his vibe to see him again? What you're not doing is getting hung up on the first date rules, like paying on the first date, because that's just the bare minimum. And whatever you do, never justify yourself. Because if you start doing that on the first date, you'll live a whole life fighting for the things that you want. And with that, have a good day.
I don't know if it's just that we're living in different times or if it's my values as a man, but I always pay on the first date. That said, I always go for a coffee or a small cafe, somewhere I know the bill won't be high, and, more importantly, where I can actually talk to the woman I invited. My second rule is to ask more questions. My goal is to get information, let her talk more. Based on what she tells me and what she's into, I adjust the conversation to keep things flowing. That strategy has always worked for me. Some guys split the bill. That doesn't work for me, but it works for them, probably because they're chads, like 8s to 10s in looks, and women don't mind. I'm just an average guy, so I stick to my style. Then you've got other men taking women to expensive restaurants, some because they've got money, others because they let the woman's demands lead the way, and they end up rejected and stuck with a huge bill. That's why I tell men, you should plan the first date. Pick a spot where you're comfortable and that you can afford. If you're inviting a woman, it's because you're genuinely interested, but if she starts throwing out ridiculous conditions, drop her. She's using you like a simp. Let her hit the wall and move on to the next one.
Women.
Everybody wants to see a tour of my Section 8 3-bedroom, 2-bath trailer. So here it is. We have lived here for a little over a year. The state pays $1,100. We pay $28. So here we go. This is the living room when you first walk in. Then we got the hallway right here. This is the smaller bathroom. As you can see, some things are falling apart, but it is a trailer. There is a bedroom right here. Walk back through here. This is the living room. Yes, that is an indoor trampoline in our kitchen because we can't have trampolines in our yard. It's not a single wide, but it's also not a double wide. Another bedroom right there. This is our washer and dryer. And that is a Section 8, 3-bedroom, 2-bath trailer.
I am so freaking pissed off right now. My landlord just came and knocked on my door and told me that we are 6 months behind on lot rent. Lot rent. We live in a trailer park, okay? I am on Section 8. Section 8. Section 8. When I signed up for Section 8, they told me, it's right there in the paperwork, that I only have to pay $100. So I tell that to my landlord, and she says, well, Section 8 doesn't pay for lot rent. Lot rent is almost $400 a month. So right now, I'm 6 months behind. I have to come up with $2,400. I am so flipping upset right now. So I'm getting in my car and I'm driving to the DHS office and I am demanding that they pay this $2,400. Where do they expect me to come up with $2,400? That's why I'm on Section 8.
Here in the past, we've already covered food stamp programs, but another one of the most disastrous initiatives ever implemented in this country is Section 8, where people who clearly don't deserve it get help paying their rent. Just watching the intro video is enough to make your blood boil at the freeloaders this system keeps creating. The worst part is that these are the same people who reproduce the most, just to keep living off the government instead of getting a job. Just look at the kind of house someone can get without working, while those who actually pay taxes through their hard work, or the veterans who fought for this country, are living in the worst conditions. Then they tell me it's fair because it's to help people. How is that possible when those who get into the program never leave it? I don't believe in social programs because they only burden hardworking taxpayers with more taxes to give privileges to people who don't make an effort.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? Life's a bitch and then you die, right?
Sometimes. Sometimes life's a bitch and then you keep living.
Trump seeks to cut $26 billion by ending Section 8, replacing it with state-run housing and programs. So instead of having Section 8 vouchers, they're replacing them with block grants to the state because the White House described the current system as dysfunctional and said the state should be allowed to design their own rental assistance programs based on their unique needs and preferences. Now, this is where it got real interesting for me. It said the plan will also cap rental aid for able-bodied adults at 2 years, reallocating any remaining funds towards elderly and disabled recipients. And right here it says housing advocates say the proposed cuts could cause a dramatic increase in homelessness. And then it says currently only about 1 in 4 eligible households receive rental aid. This new federal budget proposal also calls for eliminating programs that support affordable housing development, fair housing enforcement, and community improvement grants. They said that these funds have been misused, citing projects like skate parks and concert plaza. The Housing and Urban Development has warned local agencies to prepare for funding to end as early as next year. The Trump administration has already pushed out thousands of HUD employees and council contracts that support low-income housing, signaling a broader pullback from federal housing support. All of that was very interesting to me. I am an investor in real estate. I do have tenants on Section 8, and I know a lot of people on Section 8, and this is going to really, this could be bad. Like, I understand the concept, and I think it's pushing for people to, because I know some people that abuse Section 8 vouchers and living off the government, and so I'm assuming this is to push them to like go want to do better and be better, I guess. I don't know, but I don't know. This could be, it'll be interesting to see when if it actually goes into place and when it actually goes into place. I know they can't do nothing about it this year because it's already been passed for this year, but just the idea of it, possibly going away, but especially because it's been so long. I do agree with the part where it says the able-bodied, or I don't want to say agree, I understand with the able-bodied parts only being able to use it for 2 years and then the rest being allocated to the elderly. That I can definitely understand. But what are y'all thoughts on this?
This country supports 42 million people with food stamps and another 5 million through Section 8. All of that comes from your taxes. We're talking about nearly $25 billion just for Section 8. Do you know how many things could be built in this country with that money? Things that would actually benefit the entire population? I'm a firm believer in hard work, in everyone living by their own means. If you're not elderly, a veteran, or suffering from an illness that keeps you from working, why should we have to support you for your bad decisions? That's why I support this measure. 2 years in the program, and then you're out so someone else in real need can get a chance. If in 732 days you haven't managed to get your life together, pay off your debts, or find a better job, well, that's on you. This is a wake-up call. Either you get your life in order, or you stay stuck in misery.
Wait until you see the inside of the house.
So this house was bought by an investor about 3 years ago. Summer of 2019, a lady moved in with 8 children. I really have to say that. Children were absolutely wonderful. She, I think, has a lot of mental health issues. It just kind of went down the hill from there. Well, they are in the eviction process right now. Everything has to be out on the street for 24 hours. After that, you can go ahead and get it cleaned up. Every Christmas, there would be a truck, a donation truck that would stop here. TVs, Legos, bikes. So she would just take all these donations and just shove them in the garage. She was constantly drinking. She was always drunk. So the children were removed by the state. It is our understanding that 5 youngest children are in Dallas. The rest are here somewhere in Houston. According to all the officials, she is not getting her children back. She was admitted a few times into the hospital because she was tased by the police. There was a baby born in this house, so she was pregnant when she moved in.
So once the kids get taken away, she no longer qualifies for the house, right?
No.
Because you have to have the kids to qualify for Section 8.
Absolutely. So what happened after the kids were taken away, it was in the middle of the pandemic, so they really had nowhere. Nothing was open to move this case forward. A year and a half now.
A year and a half?
Yeah,
Kids haven't been here?
No.
And she's just been here by herself?
Just drinking, doing drugs, having other
man.
men in the house, because she said one of her oldest daughter, who is just a freshman in high school, was aging out of the system. And so she needed to get pregnant to get another child.
Oh, dear God.
The owner of the house, he wrote us all an apology letter, and he came to the doors and apologized and said that he had no idea that it was this bad. And he said that the management company always covered it up. Never told them what was really going on. But she ended up getting into this huge fight with the neighbors because the neighbors were concerned with the cockroaches that were there because the baby was on the floor and there was just cockroaches were crawling on the baby.
Oh, dear God. So
the
they probably
child.
called CPS?
We all called CPS, to be honest, because it was just not a good condition for the children to be in. Finally, CPS came out, and finally the children were removed. After dealing and watching all of this, you know, it's nobody wants to live next door to a Section 8. We tried to help with the kids. I had children sleep at my house.
We fed them.
Fed them. I bathed them every night. One of the other neighbors took the kids in for 3 months.
3 of them.
Wow. Took in some of her kids to their house?
Yes. We ended up buying beds for those children.
New
clothes. Yes.
Toothbrushes, everything.
Yep.
Man, y'all did your part. Just didn't want the help or just didn't know what to do with nice people being nice to her.
No. Damn!
See what I'm talking about? That woman is a total mess, and she was always rewarded for her bad decisions. Just thinking about how she wanted another kid because her daughter was aging out of the system, so she could keep collecting her Section 8 benefits from the government, is exactly why I don't support this system. We're talking about a vicious cycle where people keep acting like the worst version of themselves and are never held accountable. It's true, no one wants to live next to someone on Section 8. If the government is paying for your house, at least keep it clean, take care of it, study, learn something, do something to break that cycle of poverty. Because in China, a country of 1.4 billion people, they don't hand out social programs like this. Need forces you to work. Need forces you to try harder. No one wants to change as long as they're comfortable. The best period this country ever had was when the government was small. People had to work because there was no help. The state only made sure you were safe and inflation stayed low, but you, through your own sweat, had to make a living. That's the kind of woman who, if she'd been left on her own from the start, I bet first wouldn't have had so many kids, and second, would have gotten a job.
Trump says Section 8 is only for the disabled and the veterans.
I know y'all mad. Y'all steady in my comments. Oh, so what about the single mothers? What about you? If you wasn't laying down with Tom, Dick, and Harry, you wouldn't have no worries. You would have a good man at home, taking care of the bills, and you as he should. But instead, you want to be in the street, in the club, bouncing and throwing it all in a circle and meeting whoever just to come lay between your legs, give you a baby, then he gone. And then you expect for government to give a damn about you? You need to do something different with your life and stop worrying about if the government is going to assist you with certain things that you feel as though you need to survive in life. He don't owe you nothing. Stop reporting them. Stop. I seen a lady in my comments today talking about, we working to get you blocked off of TikTok right now. You always got something to say about us on Section 8. Well, do something different with your life, lady. If it bothers you that much and you sick of people talking about you like a dog, then do something about it. That's all I got to tell you. Clock that.
If you don't want to be called lazy, then don't be lazy. In life, you've got to be accountable. If you screw up, you get yourself out of that mess. Simple as that. Do you know how many people today are working 2 jobs just to pay rent and maybe eat twice a day? Just look at the people living in those programs. They're the same ones no one wants to rent to legally because their credit is wrecked. Even when the government pays their rent, they don't have the decency to take care of the place they're given. Of course, people get mad about it. Those are our tax dollars. If there weren't so many handouts, people would bust their backs working at whatever they could. We wouldn't need so many immigrants doing the jobs nobody else wants to do. Because when someone has to put food on the table, they'll work at anything to survive, or they'll end up in jail, one of the two.
This is the city I live in. This is disgusting. Anyone who thinks this is permissible should not be in anybody's leadership. This is a baby's picture.
Okay, so it's on the CNN News. So the month of November, they told all the southern states to hold back Section 8 and their EBT benefits. Okay, so that means that no Thanksgiving and no Christmas. Okay, so therefore, you know what? Whoop-de-doo. Okay, whoop-de-doo. Because let me tell you something, American people. It was only supposed to have been a temporary thing. Okay, I'm hearing people all up on this internet here talking about what they're going to do. They was getting $4,200 a month. Oh, what they was going to do. They was getting $1,200 a month in food stamps. But they all on iPhones. You're on iPhones. You're on Android. That's a luxury. Okay. To the government, that's a luxury. Okay. To the government, you're not supposed to have cable. Okay. To the government, there's a lot of things that was not prioritized right on Section 8, because Section 8, was supposed to be on it for 20 years, okay? To get food stamps, was supposed to get food stamp for 17 years. I hear one lady said that she had one child starting on it, but she got 6. How did you do that? Okay, I can understand maybe 1 or 2, the second one slipped out, but you had another 4 more. So my thing is, you don't get no sympathy for people like that, because my thing is, then I hear a lady that was in a wheelchair and she's sympathetic, but then she got 8 children. How you do that? How you lay down in the bedroom and you get 8 children and you're in a wheelchair? I don't understand. So my thing is, it was only supposed to be temporary. Okay. So what you got to do? Okay. Because back in the days, we didn't have no hot pockets. Back in the days, we didn't have all this extra foolishness, juices up on the refrigerator, all kinds of cereals. Okay, you got to go back to the basics. You got to go back to oatmeal and you got to go back to cornflakes. Okay, rice and chicken never gets old. Okay, you're going to have to go back to cinnamon sugar on buttered toast. You got to go back to the basics. You got to go back to evaporated milk and sugar. That's your milk right there, honey, and put some little sweetener in it. And that's what you got to go back to. You got to go back to the basics. Grilled cheese and tomato soup. That never gets old, okay? You got to go back to Spam sandwiches. You got to go back to liverwurst, and you got to go back to those type of meats and stuff by the bulk, okay? Sardines and cans never get old, and crackers. You've got to go back to the basics, okay? So this is why you're not getting a lot of sympathy from American people, because we've been trying to get it out in the mud. Some of us only have $300 to $500 to last us to the next payday. And we got to divide that into 14 days and we got to make it do what it do. Okay. So that's why you're not getting a lot of sympathy from people who have to work, because we're paying for that. We're paying into that for you guys to live a life of luxury. I've seen people with not see my nails. I do my nails myself because I cut that out because I'm trying to do some other things. I'm trying to work within myself and saying, Tina, what can you cut out to go ahead and save your pennies in the bank? Because I'm a saving woman. You understand me? So my thing is, this is why you're not being a lot of sympathy from the working class, is because we've got to get it out of the mud ourselves. The government ain't helping us. We're feeding into the system so you can have a better life. That's why. Okay? All right? God bless.
Man, so much truth came out of that woman's mouth. Someone get her a beer. They can't have sympathy for the working class because they don't work. It's not in their lazy DNA. I mean, for $1,200? That's more than what a lot of people watching this make. 42 million on food stamps, 5 million on Section 8. You're basically supporting more people than the entire population of Texas. How are we supposed to move forward as a country? Like she said, they come into the program with one kid and never leave. Then they have as many kids as they can, kids who grow up to do the same thing. It's just like that example with the rotten apple in the basket. Put one rotten apple in with 10 fresh ones, and soon they all start to rot. Why? Because misery loves company. That's exactly how these people are, a never-ending cycle of poverty. It's time they start working, learn to stretch their food, get 2 jobs, make a budget, stop living in luxury, go a day without eating if they have to, or learn how to cook. Because the government teat has run dry. It's time to get to work.
So I seen this lady. I scrolled and I seen this lady. And when I say the first couple of seconds, I felt so bad for her because she was literally crying, y'all. She was crying, and then I'm like, she didn't say anything. And then next thing you know, she been on Section 8 for 24 years. She just seen what Trump is initially trying to do. I think it's supposed to take effect in 2026. So in 2026, they're saying, the start of 2026, you get 2 years to be on Section 8. And after that, you can never get it again, basically. So, she pretty much was crying and all of that. But y'all, why she say she been on Section 8 for 24 years? She literally was like, I've been on this since I was 18 years old. I'm a single mom. I've, raised all my kids. She was like, I got 3 left. She was like, I'm in my 40s. Yeah, he just think it's so easy. She was like, he just think it's so easy for us to just pick up and just get a new career. And this, her, and that. Because she's a single mom, my heart goes out to her. But 2 years, and then a lot of people was asking in the comments, like, half was like they agree with what Trump said and the other half don't. So I'm gonna leave this here. I do not agree with 99% of what that orange ass man said. That ain't my president. I didn't vote for that bitch. I voted for the opposite side. But I will say this. On this particular topic, I'm with him 60-40. And the only reason why I say that is because he said 2 years. I think they should give people longer than that. Me and my husband literally was just talking about this like a week ago. And my husband was like, they should give them, I think he said 3 years. 3 years to get their shit together, and then they got to get off of it. I don't personally agree with 3 years. I think he said 3 or 4. Don't quote me on it. But I said longer than what he said. I think it should be 5, because initially to go back to school, if you want to go back to school or go get a trade. Now, if you go take a trade and this and that, of course it's going to be less of the time to find something that you actually want to do. But if you want to go back to school, then I say give them 5 years, because 4 years initially to go to school, actually get the degree, and then 1 extra year after they get done with their degree to actually find something in their career path that they went for, to be able to start actually making a life for themselves. So that's why I said I feel like 5 years is a good ample amount of time for anybody to be on Section 8. You should be able to save up, do everything you need to do. And the lady, I'm like, she's literally crying to me. She's been on there 24 years. You are one of the reasons why he trying to do this stupid ass shit. It's because people don't typically get on Section 8 or housing and food stamps and all. People don't typically get on Section 8 and stuff like that. Get the resources that they're giving you. Save your money. Like, after a few years on that, you should be able to buy you a house. Whether it's a small house, a big house, however you want. You should be able to save, or if not, buy you a house, because everybody don't want to be homeowners. You should be able to at least save your money, branch out on your own, have savings if something goes wrong or whatever, get a job and financially take care of you and your kids. So I agree with some of it, but I don't physically agree with all of it. And she literally, when I say she was crying, she was crying. And I'm like, 24 years is a long time. But then when you go to her page, and I'm like, I don't want to judge God on that. I don't want to judge. But then when you go to her page, you see she taking extravagant trips, and she's been out the country. Last year, 2024 alone, she went out the country like 3 times. Then when you look on there, you see all these, shopping sprees, nails, wigs. That shit expensive, baby. I'm a woman. I know. Wigs, that shit is expensive. Eyelash set, this, woo. But you telling me you're crying on here. Literally, you can't afford to pay your rent on your own. But you can afford to go out the country 2-3 times a year. The average working person, the average household cannot afford to go out of town 3-4 times a year, let alone out the country. So you're telling me you can afford that. You can afford all this different stuff. You can afford standing in line to get Jordans and all these different stuff, but you can't afford your rent wherever you're staying by yourself. No. That is the reason why they're sitting here saying, that is the reason why that orange-ass man is saying what he's saying, because some people take advantage of it. That is not what those services are used for. And then it really hurts because, like, the people that really need the services, they are unable to use it. And I'm going to just say this right here. I'm going to go with the homeless every day, all day. Anybody that's homeless, that's like my one project. If I became rich, I would help. I would do my best to try my best to cut down on the homelessness. Literally. I really feel for homeless people because winter outside in the cold is awful. Summer in this heat is awful. Nobody should ever be homeless. Period, point blank. Nobody. So I feel like those are the people that need those resources. All these homeless people sleeping on sidewalks and stuff like that. Those are the ones that need that stuff. You motherfuckers with the jobs and taking your money to do what you want to do with it, travel, and eat steak, lobster, all this shit. Like, you going out to dinner 5 times a week, buy out food 5 times. Like, those people traveling overseas, spending your money just frivolously and not really thinking about the future and this stuff. Everything, this world is not staying the same. Everything is not staying the same. Everything is fucking changing. And yeah, no. I would take homeless people any day. And those people are the ones that really need those services, not the people that's been on it for 15, 20, 25 years. No, if you haven't got off Section 8 after 5, I'm going to say at least 5 to 6 years, and you haven't did anything, that means you're content with being where you are in life. You're content with letting somebody else pay your bills for you. You're content. And don't get me wrong. If you get, the government been fucking over on us. If you can fuck over them a little bit, then go ahead. But it shouldn't be okay to do it. We to my long lifetime. Like, you could tell the way she was saying it, that you intended on doing this for the rest of your life. Like, you say you've been on there 24 years. You intended to do this for the rest of your life. That is insane to me. Period, point blank. So, the fact that this right here, maybe this will get a lot of people, and I don't agree with that orange-ass man, but this one specific thing, maybe that will get a lot of motherfuckers off their ass to actually go to work and be able to figure out what job, what career I want to do, What do I want to work with a company and stick with it and move up in the company? Maybe that'll actually help that. I don't know, but we'll see.
24 years old, and she thought about everything except getting a job. She went into the program with 1 kid, probably has 6 by now, and now she wants pity because she finally has to work after living off the government teat for 24 years? Give me a break. I'm sure she's overweight and her hands are soft, because people who don't work don't get worn out. 24 years eating well, not paying rent, just having kids. Honestly, I don't feel an ounce of sympathy for her. And if you do, just go to a neighborhood full of government housing or Section 8 homes. Look at the cars parked outside. Those people are living 100 times better than you. They've got savings, nice cars, while you're probably this week figuring out how to stretch the little bit of meat you could afford. Everyone needs to work. Here, money should be earned through the sweat of your brow. No more giving out money just for existing or for your bad life choices. Accountability for everyone. Enough of these parasites living off the system.
Women.
My kids have not eaten in 5 days. It is the taxpayer's responsibility to take care of my kids.
Trump done cut them food stamps off. If you're poor, don't have kids, okay? If you're struggling, don't have kids. Don't bring more in. If you already have them, that's another situation. If you don't have them, don't bring any in. And if you have 2, don't go having another one. If you have 1, don't go having 2 more.
So they say 2 million is getting cut off this month for the stamps. I'm about to go find out if I'm in that number, in that ratio. It's been day 5 and I have not received no food stamps. My disability checks is on hold. My cash benefits is not coming no more. They're still pending. It is the taxpayer's job to pay for my kids to eat and for my kids to be taken care of. I have over 2,000 followers on TikTok and I can't get not one person to send me 50 cents. If you're watching a video and you can't send me nothing, I'm blocking you.
You know, people are out here scrambling, asking, what are we going to do? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Take your butt to work.
Cocaine is a hell of a drug.
People like this are the ones that make me the angriest. We're talking about 42 million people receiving food stamps. Now, with the government shutdown, they won't be getting money for their benefits. You know what that means? That 42 million people will have to get off their butts and start working like everyone else. To me, that's poetic justice. Look at the shopping carts those people had in the intro. Do you know how many hours you have to work to put that kind of food on the table? These people get it for free. We live in a time when people have no shame. This used to be kept private, but now it's something to brag about, especially single mothers who leave their husbands just to qualify for this kind of assistance. Did you know these food stamps have destroyed countless marriages in this country? Women who walked away from stability just to live off the government and collect all the benefits. The worst part is that they turn into parasites of the system because it's not like they stay on it for a short while, it's years. And what's most infuriating is that these people feel entitled to your money. Damn.
So guess what I'm doing for the first time in 12 years? Okay? I am getting up, I'm ready, did my hair, took my shower, brushed my teeth, and I'm going to do my community service hours. Why community service hours, do you ask? Because they told me in order to keep my food stamps, I would have to do 15 hours of community service per week. That's at minimum. I can do more if I want to, which I probably will because I don't have anything else going on. And my kids are in daycare since I qualified for subsidized childcare. So I'm going to do my 15 hours or more. I haven't decided yet. It depends on how I like it at the place where I'm volunteering. But anyways, this is just until I get an actual full-time job because they don't just let you stay in community service for as long as you want. You have to like find employment or go to school. So
if the government doesn't reopen by November, EBT will not reopen either. So nobody is getting no EBT, no help, no Medicaid, no nothing. And the government knows that. And so many people right now are in a panic, as they should be, because people have children. People need Medicaid. Older people need Medicaid too. Like, y'all having the shutdown because y'all don't want to come to a decision. Y'all don't want to do what y'all got to do. And November might be a very horrible and kind of semi-violent month because the government is not understanding that this is crucial. Like, people will not have food, people will not have medicine, people will not have the things that they need for their kids or for their for the people that they love who are older. And everybody's sitting here. I'm already seeing the videos talking about, like, if you see me starting to rob this place, mind your business. And I see a lot of other people who say, like, you know what, I'm just gonna like turn a blind eye. And it's getting to the point where everybody needs to understand that instead of judging and instead of sitting up here talking about, oh my God, just get a job, just get this, just to get that. Okay, food stamps, have your opinion about it, don't care. But Medicaid, people who are actually older use food stamps. People who are older need Medicaid. And y'all, some heartless ass people sitting up here talking about, oh, well, you should have got a job, you should have done this, blah, 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 whatever y'all got to say. The government shutting down is affecting a lot of people right now, and especially the people for the month of November who is not going to get food. I've seen people on here talk about where they got a letter from the government or something like that talking about that their food stamps will not come in, their Medicaid will not come in. It just won't, and that's it. So if the government doesn't come to a decision and reopen before November, nobody is getting what they need.
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
For the first time in 15 years, that woman finally got off the couch to go to work. Just for that, Trump deserves an award. We actually made a freeloader do something to earn her food. As far as I'm concerned, people who receive food stamps should work at least 40 hours a week. If they don't, they shouldn't get a dime. I have no problem helping the elderly or veterans. They've earned it. But everyone else who's able to work needs to get off the couch. This country was built through hard work, not government checks. Today, working people are punished with taxes to support freeloaders pushing carts full of free food and brand new cell phones. If you were lazy, you lived like one. Taxes aren't being used for the good of everyone. Like infrastructure. No, now they're used to hand out money to people sitting at home, perfectly capable of working. But the man in the next video says it even better.
So this is going to piss some people off, and I don't care. So people are getting on the internet now, and they're starting to complain about how they're going to be cutting food stamps off in November. And message has been sent. It is happening. And the reason why this upsets me so much is because you have people like myself, and I'm sure there's plenty more out there right now that are looking back at me that have worked their whole lives and have struggled their entire lives just to make ends meet. And they went to apply for food stamps. And because they think you make too much money, you never received any help whatsoever. And if you did, they gave you enough money for a gallon of milk a month. And then you have people that go out here and have unfathered children. And because they have unfathered children, they get free housing, they get free food, they get money from the government that this father now has to pay back, or he is going to sit in jail. But yet now they're going to start saying they're going to start robbing, looting, stealing. And this is coming from, it's obvious they're in public housing already, but they have nice nails. They have nice clothes. They have the PlayStations, all the good gimmicks and whatnots, bells and whistles, while you got people like me and some people like you watching me right now that struggle just to eat day to day. And because now they're taking your free money, you're going to band together, you're going to break laws. What about the middleman that has never had a hand up? What about him? He's just expected to sit here quietly, watch while everybody that was handed everything acts a donkey now that it's getting took the fuck away. Yet we're sitting here like, oh wow, I guess you get to know how it feels to be told, fuck you, just because you make 100 extra more dollars. Dude, it's so fucking crazy. Do what you want. Catch charges. There's so many ways you can feed your families. So many ways.
Totally. You know how the food stamp thing would be fair? If people were rotated every 2 years, you'd be given assistance coupons for 2 years, month after month. But as soon as that period ended, you'd be kicked out of the system and couldn't get back in for 10 years. That would actually help because there would be a sense of urgency to save that money, to get ahead. But people who've been in the system for more than 10 years don't plan to leave. To stay in it, they keep having kids. You see them making nice purchases, driving good vehicles, always as fat as can be, because people who don't work get fat from not moving their butts. Well, that's over. If they go out in the street making trouble, they'll end up in jail, because those people think about everything bad except working. Working doesn't even enter their heads.
So y'all telling me because y'all can't get along, now there's mothers and fathers and children out there that ain't getting their link cards so they can't eat. And I don't even want to hear you uppity people say, oh, go get a job. Well, go get this. Well, maybe you shouldn't live on state aid. Do you realize they now put a letter in with your Medicaid and your link? Oh, you need to have a job. And then those people are going out and getting a job, and then they're getting their link taken from them. So then the little bit of extra money they had is now going on their rent or paying for food. So now they can't put their kid through soccer. They can't get that extra car to make sure their kid gets to soccer. Or they don't have that extra $500 something because y'all took their link card away, and that $500 could have went towards their kid's tuition. Like, y'all rich people think that we're just living off the state to live off the state. Nah. Some people are because they're lazy. But one thing for sure, two things for certain, I know in this very building I live in, there are women striving for greatness. And they went out and did what they had to do. And y'all took their Section 8. Y'all took everything from them that was keeping them afloat. I'm not putting their business out there, but that's bullshit. And then I went on Facebook today. Somebody that I see hustle. They're always doing hair. They're always braiding. They're always doing what they got to do. They don't got their food to feed their kids. And she has multiple kids. And I don't want to hear nothing about, oh, she's lazy. She's on state funding. No, that woman works every single day and her account is 0 and she can't fill her house with food. That's wrong. I don't care. The rich could change a lot in this world, and y'all just keep it in your bank accounts to die with a bunch of money. And I'm sorry, but if I was rich and I came up on a lot of money or I won the lottery, the first thing I'm going to do is make a nonprofit for 304s to actually have a place to lay their head instead of having to worry about where they're going to sleep at night. That's what I would do with my money. And then I would donate to our country, not to another country, to our country. Personally, I would take my money and I would bring it to the homeless people. I'd be like, you want to get out? You want to get out this lifestyle? Come on. And then I would have a house for homeless people where you would have to go through certain things. Like, I just don't understand how the government is so against us little guys. And then the little guys that are actually striving for greatness are the ones that suffer. But the rich still sit on their high horses and they don't suffer because what? Half the rich people are corrupt. But the ones that get rich, that came from nothing, are the ones that are trying to make a change. I'm just rambling because I'm pissed, but that's all I got to say today.
I love listening to people like this. They always have great social ideas, just never with their own money. Typical of socialists. Their idea is that the rich should pay more taxes. But lady, it's not the millionaires paying for your food stamps. It's the middle class, the ones watching a big chunk of their taxes, which should be going to infrastructure and better services, get spent on supporting and fixing the problems of 42 million people who should be out working. The rich pay their taxes, they pay more than most. But it's your government that's buried this country under social programs. If you look at China, which is basically a communist country, you'll see they have fewer welfare programs than we do. We, being a capitalist nation, have more social programs than they do. And what do they do with their money? They invest in roads, energy, and jobs. Here, the money goes to endless subsidies. It's spent keeping freeloaders afloat. That man in the video said it best. What do you say to millions of people who should be working, who see their lives getting worse every day and public services deteriorating, all because the money is being used to support freeloaders and their kids, who, in the end up in the same programs?
So it has now been confirmed that food stamps will not be continuing into November with the government shutdown continuing, which means that millions and millions of people who rely on food stamps for food for themselves, their families, their children will now be going without. And while I can never tell other people exactly what to do, how to feel, or what to say, I can say that I am blind, deaf.
Now, what I'm about to say is definitely going to ruffle some feathers, but let your feathers be ruffled. If the shoe fits, the shoe just goddamn fits. When it comes to government assistance, whether it's SNAP benefits, WIC, HUD, income-based apartments, Medicaid, all of that government assistance stuff, if you need it, that's what it's there for. It's there for you to get you to where you want to be. It's there for you. If you have a job, get a better job. Go to school. You don't have nobody to watch your kids. That's what it's for. It's for mothers and people and elderly people to get back on their feet. With that being said, once you receive those government services, that doesn't mean you just live on it for the rest of your days here on this earth. There are so many people who need those type of assistances that can't get it because the people who got it 20 something years ago, 5+ years ago, are still on it. And this is coming from a Black woman. This is coming from a woman who had those type of government services. You're supposed to be, if you're not working, you're supposed to be in school so you can get a better job and get you and your children a better place to go. You're supposed to be receiving those SNAP benefits because you can't afford to put groceries in your house. So you should be doing things in your life to better your situation so that you will never need those things again, and it can go to somebody who's in the shoes that you were in and trying to get better. Income-based houses, receiving SNAP benefits, all of those, you should only be able to keep those benefits if you're working. Either if you're working, if you're in school, if you're disabled, or if you're elderly, or if your child is disabled, or if you're elderly. But I feel like in order to keep those benefits, you have to work or go to school.
The truth is, that was the whole idea in the first place. Food stamps were supposed to be a step toward improving your quality of life and eventually leaving them behind. But today, it's become a source of pride, even an identity for many. We're talking about 42 million people. That's the entire population of California, even more than all the people in New York or Texas, being supported by the system. If those people worked, if they actually produced, imagine what this country could do with those taxes. Better roads, cheaper energy, decent schools, better public transportation, real support for veterans and farmers. But no, the money ends up in overflowing grocery bags, while the ones who work can barely make it to the end of the month. And the worst part is, they do it with arrogance, as if the government owed them something. When they don't get their checks, they go out to protest, destroy cities, and scream social justice. No, brother, that's not justice. That's abuse of the system. As far as I'm concerned, let the government stay shut down. Plenty of people have lived their whole lives without getting a single cent, so we know nobody's going to die from having to work. We've reached the end of the video, but before we go, here are some questions for you. Do you think the food stamp program is fair or unfair? Do you think food stamps should be eliminated? And if not, why? If you enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. Your support means the world to us and keeps us motivated to create more content. Stay tuned for the next exciting video from the wall.